Hello and welcome back to another GCSE revision video. Now, when it comes to Jekyll and Hyde, which to be honest is one of my favorite texts to teach in English literature, if you have this as part of your set English GCSE literature text and you struggle with analysis, I want to give you the top analysis statement to use regardless of whether you get a character question, regardless of whatever theme question you get. You want to use this analysis statement because it cuts straight to the heart of Stevenson's message and the entire premise of this novella. This novella is to do with duality and the tragedy that emerges as a result of Jekyll rejecting this dual nature that resides within him. How do you show really powerful top tier analysis in any Jekyll and Hyde GCSE essay that you write? You do so by using this powerful analysis statement. I'm going to read it and then unpack why it's so powerful if you were sitting Jekyll and Hyde as part of your upcoming GCSE mock exams for GCSE English Literature. This is the statement, and then I'm going to unpack and analyze why it's so powerful for this, if I'm being completely honest, amazing novel. I love teaching it and I wish I taught it more because it's such an awesome novel. This is the analysis to use. Stevenson presents human nature as dual, and he uses Jekyll's transformation into Hyde to highlight the tragedy that results from rejecting our duality and repressing our darker nature. He does so to criticize the hypocrisy of Victorian society that forced Jekyll to deny his dual nature and ultimately his humanity. That is a powerful analysis statement to use regardless of whatever character question you get, because remember that even if you get a Hyde question, even an Utterson question or a Lanyon question, they all revolve around Dr. Jekyll's persona. Dr. Jekyll is inherently connected and attached to all of them, and he is a really powerful character that's being used to highlight this dual nature that resides within all of us. We are both good, but we are also evil. We're both civilized, but also we have an animalistic side. Now, when it comes to why this analysis statement is so powerful and why you really need to include it in any essay that you write for Jekyll and Hyde, number one, as I said, our humanity is inherently dual, okay? And the moment you start showing an awareness of this, you go straight to Stevenson's message and the premise of why he wrote this novel. Equally, the moment you start using really key and top tier grade 9 terms, like for instance, Victorian society, right? In fact, I'm covering this up right here, Victorian society. You're firstly showing an awareness of context. You're also showing an awareness of writer's purpose. And to be honest, when it comes to even just writer intent, this entire statement really captures it. And by the way, if you actually want to see how to expand on this and to develop this into a really solid essay for Jekyll and Hyde, regardless of the question, I'm actually going to be running a one-off Jekyll and Hyde GCSE masterclass during October half term, okay? So between the 27th all the way into 27th October, all the way to the 2nd of November, I'm going to be running a series of one-off GCSE literature masterclasses, and on the 1st of November during half-term week, that's a Saturday, I'm going to be having a one-off Jekyll and Hyde lesson. I love teaching this text and I love getting as many students as passionate about this text as I am through obviously showing them how to write top-tier grade 9 GCSE essays for this novel, right, which they can revise from, but of course also prepared a 3-page cheat sheet that students who were part of my previous Jekyll and Hyde masterclasses last year not only used for their mocks, but ultimately for the final GCSE exams for literature with Jekyll and Hyde. So obviously you're more than welcome to join in and ask me as many questions in that lesson as you want. Now, the other thing I want to mention when it comes to this statement and why it's so powerful in terms of analysis is when it comes to using really top tier language, remember another aspect when it came to both Jekyll, but this was a wider representation of what a lot of people in Victorian society were doing, is they were actively denying and pushing down and repressing, right? So really pushing down and saying it doesn't exist, the darker animalistic nature and the darker animalistic desires. Now, Stevenson wants to say that it's not about us indulging in these dark side, you know, for example, we don't want to go off and engage in really criminal activity like Hyde, but The moment we acknowledge at least it exists within us, that already helps us, right? That already helps us reconcile this evil and this good side that resides within us. The issue and the reason why Dr. Jekyll's end was so tragic is when we reject and we act like it doesn't exist, and we push it down and we act like it's not existing, it becomes a pressure cooker, and it literally has to erupt in some way, and often with really tragic consequences. This is what we see when Jekyll was no longer able to control his transformation into Hyde. So now when you're mentioning and using this language in this statement, you're also showing an awareness of that, okay? So that's why, as I said, this is such a perfect phrase to use when writing any Jekyll and Hyde GCSE essay. And not only will it impress your teachers because you're showing an awareness of Stevenson's core message, key themes, and also mentioning why Jekyll is such an intrinsic character in demonstrating this. But of course, you're also going straight into analysis and you're moving away from describing what happens in Jekyll and Hyde. And of course, as I said, if you have any questions or you want to see how to write a winning GCSE grade 9 model answer for Jekyll and Hyde, both for your October mock exams, but ultimately even in your final GCSE exams, just simply join in my one-off Jekyll and Hyde GCSE masterclass on the 2nd of November. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you found this helpful.